All right, let's go Kansas City at Baltimore. Man, has this lost some luster? Chiefs at the Ravens. And, this was supposed to be the year, according to some, that Baltimore was going to knock off the Chiefs.
Woo.
And Baltimore is now in danger of going down 0-2 after that crazy game against the Raiders on Monday Night Football.
I don't think it's lost luster. It just becomes a different type of game. All of a sudden, it's not, is this the year Baltimore knocks off the Chiefs the way some people predicted? I don't know who would predict that, but
that's weird, huh?
All of a sudden, it's like, wait, the Ravens might be in real trouble. We had a whole show on this on the PFF NFL Daily. If they go 0-2 coming out of this, their run down the stretch is brutal. Like their final 7 games is 6 games they could easily lose, and the Bengals. And at that point, the Bengals might actually be halfway decent. Like that. This is a nightmare for Baltimore.
The North is tough, man. I mean, the West is also tough for the Chiefs. They're all undefeated.
Sure, but all of a sudden, Baltimore's 0-1. Those tackles are a disaster. Those tackles, Steve. Alejandro,
Ronnie Stanley as well.
Villanueva, the great, as you have been referring to him.
The average.
The savior.
I have never said the great. I said the average.
You have 1,000,000% said the great Alejandro Villanueva.
Well, that was in jest. I said he's great because he's average.
Okay. He's not average right now. He is, in fact, terrible.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
He's well below average so far.
Yeah.
You can't just move the poor guy to the right side.
So this is the thing.
I did. As a natural fence-sitting hedger, yeah. I hedged at some point this summer and said, well,
I don't know
of all the fits, going to a run-heavy scheme in Baltimore and moving to the right side is not my favorite one.
Okay, but the run game wasn't the problem here.
I understand. It was the right side.
Yeah.
Might have been the problem.
So,
Max Crosby absolutely owned my boy Allie.
Yes. So all of a sudden, like what was the interior of Baltimore's offensive line was supposed to be the problem, but they gave up the most pressure from both their tackles. Villanueva gave up 10. Stanley gave up 9. That's 1-2 in terms of pressure rate. And now the Chiefs are coming to town.
They were the worst 2 pass blocking grades too, I believe.
Probably, yeah. And all of a sudden, Kansas City's rolling in, getting Frank Clark back for whatever that matters. Chris Jones on the edge is still a problem.
Chris Jones is a good edge defender, just like he's a good interior defensive lineman.
Yeah. So now you've got, Baltimore's offense is in real trouble. And by the way, their defense just gave up like 1 million targets to Darren Waller, and now Travis Kelce's rocking up.
Yeah, and so the Baltimore defense, and again, I mentioned this on the daily because we did break down, are the Ravens in trouble? I'm concerned about the offensive line. That's clear. I'm as concerned about the secondary, the Marcus Peters trickle-down effect of putting the pressure. It felt like when the Ravens were just forcing some incompletions on Derek Carr, it just felt like at some point the Raiders were going to connect because the Ravens are still putting those guys on islands and
zero blitzes all day,
trusting their corners. And Mahomes, by the way, so Mahomes passing grade against the Ravens over the last couple of years, 88.3 against Baltimore. Drew Brees is the only other QB over 80, and that was in a 1-game sample. So Mahomes has been by far the best quarterback against the Ravens since 2018. Mahomes against the blitz, 90.9 against the Ravens blitz.
Oh, here you go. Ronnie Stanley's out, so Villanueva goes back to left tackle.
Oh, finally.
If he gets lit up at left tackle, you're going to be in real trouble.
I'm out of excuses.
Now you got nothing.
Well, he's been training at right tackle the entire season. You got to give him a couple weeks to get back to the left.
Patrick Mahomes stepping to right tackle. I mean.
Oh, so that's official now.
Yeah.
Okay, so both tackles graded in the 40s last week. Makari, I believe he may have been a college tackle at Cal, but he's been playing on the interior for the Ravens. I'm just looking at their depth chart right now. They don't have a backup tackle on this roster.
The good news
they don't
is
have like a classic tackle.
Their performance from the 2 this week were so bad that it probably can't be worse. Like
True.
Villanueva at left tackle and Makari at right tackle may still be 2 liabilities, but no more than they were last week when it was Stanley clearly not 100% healthy and Villanueva getting his lunch eaten by anybody.
Yeah, not great. Did you get a heads up on the YouTube chat? Is that where or somebody?
No, Beckett dropped it into the podcast.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Beckett. I appreciate it. Yeah, so we knew Stanley was questionable. Now the question is answered. He is out. By the way, appreciate everybody on YouTube. Give us that thumbs up, right? Just click that quick thumbs up. That's how we get this thing going viral, just like our Monday show. We got a lot of good reaction there. How do the Ravens?
By the way, this is still technically not done. The report from Jason Lockenfor is the Ravens are preparing.
They're preparing to be without him,
which isn't technically he will be out, but we've covered it either way. If Stanley plays, they're probably in trouble because both those tackles were horrendous week one. If Stanley doesn't play, they're probably still in trouble because Villanueva looked awful week one. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say flipping back to the left side doesn't turn it back into greatness.
Not going to help.
And Macari is unlikely to be a great right tackle. So, either way, that offensive line, massive concern.
Okay, so the line's a concern. We've got injuries. On the other side, how do the Ravens stop Mahomes? Like I said, a 90-plus grade against the Ravens blitz, which is what they want to do. The same question I ask about the Steelers, right? The Steelers came out of their comfort zone last week and played a different game against Josh Allen. Are the Ravens ready to do that, or are they going to stick with what they know?
Mahomes and Kelce. Darren Waller could have had 15 catches for 150 yards against Baltimore on Monday night. The limiting factor in him being held to only 110 catches and a touchdown was Derek Carr more than it was Baltimore actually shutting him down in any way, shape, or form. He was the only target that the Raiders were interested in throwing to, and he still torched them. Travis Kelce, I would say, is the one tight end in the NFL that is a clear better player than Waller still as a receiver. So he's averaged 80-plus yards the last two times he's faced the Ravens. So, if they want to, they're going to be going at him every single play, and it's going to be almost impossible for Baltimore to stop him. And if they do decide to, okay, we're going to bracket Kelce every play, clamp down on him, make sure that's not going to happen, then, oh, by the way, Tyreek Hill is on the back end against Anthony Everett, and that's going to be a 90-yard touchdown anytime they want it. So, yeah, all of a sudden Baltimore's defense is facing this rock in a hard place.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. Listen to these other splits from Mahomes last week, because when you watch the game, and I feel like I tweet this a lot or just notice this a lot with Mahomes, we know him for his special. We know him for the special plays, but what makes him so good, again, you have to be good for 40 dropbacks or 50, however many dropbacks. He takes what the defense gives him. When he was in a clean pocket last week, his average depth of target was 4.5. So he took all the underneath stuff. He played within the scheme for the most part. If he sees a crazy blitz, he'll kind of read the rush and manipulate and get out of the pocket, whatever it is. When he was under pressure, though, average depth of target becomes 18.8. And that included that Tyreek Hill 75-yarder, which was all right, I'm outside the pocket. So within structure, it was dink and dunk all over the place, that's not a derogatory term. That's called playing quarterback. You find the open guy and you move the chains. Outside of the pocket, though, Mahomes is trying to create big plays. And again, the Tyreek 75-yarder is always on the table at some point in this game, which makes them so tough to stop.
And not only that, but if you're running zero blitz, if you're Baltimore, there's no safety back there.
Right.
It's Tyreek Hill against one guy. There's nobody over the top. Now, there wasn't this time either. But that's a danger constantly because you're exposing a cornerback who, unless it's Marlon Humphrey, is not an excellent cornerback against one of the league's best weapons every play. And they ran zero blitz 13 times against the Raiders. If they do that against Kansas City, those are 13 opportunities for Tyreek to beat one guy immediately and done. And touchdown.
What you see good quarterbacks do, 3 instances this past weekend where it happened. Kyler Murray did it, Russell Wilson did it, and Derek Carr did it on the game-winning drive, which was kind of a mess, the game-winning touchdown. When you know there's a zero blitz, you know somebody's coming in unblocked, that's when you could start retreating in the pocket and just throw it up into an ocean and say, hey, receiver, go get it. And there's nobody better than that at a Tyreek Hill because he's going to outrun everybody. And Mahomes has that feel for throwing it up. Now, the Patriots have had success with the zero blitz against Mahomes, but it's got to be it's the timing of it. It's disguise. The Ravens like to just crowd the line of scrimmage and say, okay, we're coming after you. So I'll be interested if the Ravens maybe play more zone. And I would still rather make Mahomes be patient and do the 4.5 average depth of target thing, pick me apart underneath, rather than giving him the opportunity to create those big plays.
It's just not what they do on defense. They need to have a complete shift. I mean, they were talking when they had Ray Lewis on the Manning broadcast, and it was just this. That's what Wink does. This is this defense. It's aggressive. They are going to come after you. It doesn't matter. They are going to blitz and live and die by it. And on Monday night, they died by it. And against the Chiefs, my money would be them dying by it. So to me, this is just interesting. This looks like a game where Baltimore is very overmatched on both sides of the ball. But we can't. But a week ago, some people were saying this is the season that Baltimore can actually rival Kansas City and maybe knock them off their perch. Now, where are we? Are we overreacting to week one, or has Baltimore actually slipped that far?
Devontae Freeman's been elevated at running back. Is this the game, too, where you always say the run-heavy team, keep the ball away from Kansas City? I mean, can the Ravens put together those 15-play drives? Is that their strategy? Because I can't trust the off. Yeah, but from a pass blocking standpoint, the offensive line got wrecked.
Run blocking hasn't been great either.
I understand, but you don't need to run block as well in the system because it's a lot of unblocked defenders, and it's the scheme can still produce if they don't have the best run blocking up front. This is one of those because of the Lamar factor. So is it just a ground and pound game for Baltimore? They try to steal a possession or two in this one, save the defense. It could be, it could be that. They might need to play that way. By the way, Lamar, up and down game. He was under pressure like crazy, as we're saying. There was elements where he got out of it and made some big plays, but he still had the 2 big fumbles at the end on Monday Night Football. I'm taking the Chiefs after all that. I'm taking the favorites at 3.5 for 3 straight games. I don't love it, but I'd like the Chiefs to win this thing.
I mean, Baltimore needs to show something impressive in terms of a week-to-week turnaround to not be in trouble in this game.
Yeah, I want to see what they do defensively if they do.
Literally the only good news for them is that they're at home.
Yeah, that's true.
That's about it.
They have been playing. They have played the Chiefs in Kansas City, I think, every time. I don't know if they've played in Baltimore yet. So that could happen. And that's usually what happens in week 1 to 2. The overreaction is generally at teams that were at home who looked good or teams that were away that looked bad, and all of a sudden they have a home game or flip it, and it's like, okay, things change. That is something that often changes in week 2.